Hey guys, it is 2Pro or Adam, and welcome back to another Blackout Top 10 video. And with Blackout being free for the last week, there are a ton, and I mean a ton, of new players playing right now. So I thought it'd be the perfect time to go over 10 mistakes that bad players are making here in Blackout. So in today's top 10, I'm going to be doing a Blackout sound quiz. The way this works, I'm gonna go ahead and play a quick sound from Blackout. All you have to do is let me know in the comments below what you guys think this sound is. If you've played Blackout for more than 1 hour, you should know exactly what that sound is. And of course, guys, if you're new here and you enjoy the Blackout Top 10s, hit that sub button. If you are subbed, make sure notifications turned on. And besides that, let's jump into the first of 10 things that bad players do, or mistakes new players make here in Blackout. First thing on our list is going to revolve around entering buildings, and specifically opening doors, because one thing we run into a lot here in Blackout is a lot of people like to camp, and camp hardcore. We all have had those deaths where we enter a building, some guy is sitting on this shelf in the dark corner of the room ADSing at one of the doors, you walk in and die instantly. There is one very easy way to avoid this. So if you're entering a building, usually every single building has a ton of different doors, but if you're entering a warehouse, for example, just a long straight warehouse, what you want to do is you want to open up one door, don't go through it, and then kind of do a lap around the building and open every single door as you go around the building, because that way, if you have somebody camping in that building, all of a sudden, all the doors are open and they have no idea what door you're going through. It definitely confuses the person in that building a lot more, which will give you a massive advantage. Next up, in our number 9 spot, we have trauma kits. And trauma kits are a very powerful thing here in Blackout, and you have to use them properly. One mistake a lot of new players will make is they will hold on to trauma kits when they have 150 health. When you find one and you don't have 200 health, use the trauma kit right away. Having that extra 50 health in a gunfight is a big deal. There are a lot of times you'll notice if you have 200 health that you survive with like 30 health left. Without that trauma kit, you would have died. The only time you want to hold on to them is when you already have 200 health and you save the other trauma kits when your health goes like below 150. So please always use them when you're at 150 health. It is so worth it. In our number 8 spot, I want to go over the ARAV vehicle. And one thing I have noticed, an overwhelming amount of new players are absolutely hooked to the ARAV, and I get it. It's a vehicle that has a massive turret on it and it can do some serious damage, but there is a certain point in the game where you need to ditch vehicles, especially this one, because it is very, very loud. But man, a lot of bad players are a little bit too hooked to this thing and it gets them killed almost all the time. Personally, I never use the ARAV because it's a little bit too loud and it's not as fast as the ATV, so it's a lot easier to hit with things like missiles and grenades, so I stay away from it. I understand in a co-op game like duos or even squads, this thing, if it's used properly, can be really effective, but in a game of solo, you do not really want to use this thing, or you don't want to use it for a long period of time. In our number 7 spot, I want to go over sniping. And for those of you who've been playing Blackout since launch, you guys understand that sniping is incredibly fun, and at one point it was very effective, but right now, sniping in Blackout really isn't a good idea, just because of the armor repair system. With sniping, if you are not getting headshots, you're constantly getting hit markers with that armor, and it really isn't that effective, and it's a lot better to have an SMG or even another AR in that slot instead. The reason I bring this up is I think a lot of people who might be new to Blackout and are playing the free trial, you would look at, you know, Call of Duty and go, yeah, like sniping in that game is something everyone does. In Blackout, it is a little bit different, actually a lot different than normal MP. Sniping thing is definitely not a one-shot unless you're getting constant headshots, which really isn't that easy to do in this mode. So when you do play Blackout, of course, you're gonna snipe sometimes, it's a lot of fun, but there are a lot of times where it's just not a good idea. In our number 6 spot, I want to go over armor, and armor is a massive part of Blackout, and knowing what armor to pick up is really important, and also knowing exactly what that armor does is also really important. So here in Blackout, we have level 1, level 2, and level 3 armor. It's obvious that level 3 is better than level 2, and 2 is better than 1. As for, you know, protection, you'll survive a lot longer with 3 vs 1. But one big thing that a lot of people, especially a lot of new players, don't realize is level 3 armor makes you like a billion times louder than using level 1. Alright, maybe a billion times louder is an exaggeration, but still, you guys get the idea. Having level 3 armor on, you're gonna make more sound than level 2, and personally, I've been rocking level 2 a lot more at the end game, just because I want to make less sound, and of course, if there's somebody rocking level 3, I can hear them a lot better, and this is a BR game. In BR games, sound is so important. So I'm not saying don't use level 3, I'm just saying that this is something you should know about, and then you can go ahead and make a decision based on the way you play and if you care about sound. In the number 5 spot, one massive thing, probably one of the biggest things I've noticed since Blackout went free to play, is the new players love to land at zombie locations, and they love to kill zombies with, you know, normal, regular weapons. So if you're somebody who has just started playing Blackout, if you go to kill zombies, please don't use normal weapons. Look for things like Bowie knives and the throwing axe. Those two things are the best way to kill zombies with like a one shot, and on top of that, you make no noise. I love to land at Verrückt, and usually when the box does not spawn at Verrückt, it usually spawns at the graveyard, which is just next door. I land at Verrückt, I can hear those shots for days, and usually that just ends up being an easy kill. So please, when you're killing zombies, try not to use normal weapons. In our number 4 spot, staying on ATVs too long, and I'm specifically talking about ATVs for this one, not the trucks, not the ARAV, and not helicopters. ATVs, because there are a ton of ATV spawns on the map. So the whole strategy behind driving ATVs is once it starts sparking, you can easily find a new ATV and swap it out. You never want to be on one ATV too long, because then you're an easy target and you can get blown up really easily. Every single game you see that one guy driving an ATV that's literally on fire, 1 or 2 shots and the guy blows up. So when the thing's on fire, you are literally driving a bomb that will like instantly kill you. So one thing to keep in mind is as you're driving around and you see an ATV just sitting there and it's spawn, swap it out, because now you have a fresh ATV and you won't blow up so easily. And again, like I mentioned, there are literally ATV spawns everywhere, so this is never an issue. Coming in at our number 3 spot, one of the more important things in Blackout when it comes to improving and getting a lot more wins is using everything that is in the world. Using perks, using attachments, knowing what these things do, using equipment, and there's a ton of different things in this game that I think a lot of us never use. So for this one, it is holding on to loot that you are not using. One thing a lot of us do here in Blackout is we find something like, for example, Sensor Dart. This thing is amazing in every situation. 1v1, final circle, in a bad situation, knowing where the enemy is can be a big help. And I think one thing we do is you find equipment like this and say, you know what, I'm gonna use that at the end of the game, and as we play, as we loot, as we get kills, kills, we acquire like, you know, 3, 4, 5 sensor darts. And you know what? You don't need that many at the end of a game. So one important thing to do is use equipment as you go, because you're going to find a ton more of that equipment, especially in the end game when everyone has really good loot. Coming in at our number 2 spot, we are going back to driving and ATVs. This actually applies to pretty much any vehicle here in Blackout, and this is a noticeable thing that a lot of new players will do, and that is drive on the roads in Blackout. That is one of the worst things you can do, especially since a lot of these roads, you don't have to drive on them. You can drive beside the road or just wherever the hell you want. And the reason why I say don't drive on roads is because people love to put trip mines there, and there's a very high chance if you're going to hit one of these things, it's going to be sitting in the middle of the road. So when you're driving any vehicle, honestly guys, just drive beside the road, or just drive, you know, anywhere that is not the road or train tracks, things where people would put these trip mines. Finishing things off in our number 1 spot, I think we can all agree that one of the most satisfying things to do in Blackout is get road kills. Getting road kills is so incredibly hilarious and also so incredibly satisfying, but there is a time where you need to kind of back off. One thing I notice a lot of new players do is I'll be running around with just, you know, no vehicle, nothing, just running in the open, and some guy sees me and he tries to run me over and he misses, and he'll keep coming back over and over and over again trying to hit me until I eventually kill him. The rule I have in Blackouts is I'll try to run somebody over a maximum of 2 times. The majority of my kills are on the first attempt. It is very uncommon for me to get a kill going back trying again, but after 2 times you keep going back over and over and over again trying to run them over. They're gonna eventually throw a nade at you or damage you enough to kill you. So if you want to run people over, don't try to go after the same guy over and over again, because you'll probably end up dying. So there it is guys, 10 things that bad players do here in Blackout. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe for a ton of Blackout's top 5s and top 10s. And besides that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.